segment 2, the scapegoating mechanism. We're taught, let's say we're in the prehistoric world. You're describing the most basic sources of conflict, and now the most basic means of resolving conflict.
Yeah, because the question is how are such conflicts resolved? They have to be resolved at least part of the time for groups of human beings to gather permanently together and so forth.
So the question is, how do societies manage to exist?
People imitate each other. People imitate each other in their desire. But they also imitate each other in their dislikes, I just said. And therefore, when you have a conflict which is particularly visible and obvious and so forth, there will be a tendency for the neighbors of the people concerned to move with the stronger of the two, the most convincing of the two, and be on his side against the other one. And when you have a second one, you have a third one, a fourth one, it becomes easier and easier. And the mimetic, because all this is always mimetic, you see, that's the thing you have to see. The real motor is imitation each time. Imitation of friendship, imitation of desire, and imitation of conflict. So, if it is so, there should not be any human society. It should be impossible.
Total conflict all the time.
Total conflict all the time. But if you have that total conflict, you also have a way in which this conflict is automatically, cancelled and resolved by. And it is when people imitate no longer the choice of opponent, but also what they feel about everything. And they are all going to gather against the same opponent. If one really feels convinced that one of the people there is more guilty than the other one, the notion of guilt will appear in the collective interplay of these people. And as soon as this happens, it gathers speeds, and ultimately one victim must be killed or driven out or otherwise gotten rid of. And this is what I call not I, but everybody calls the scapegoat. The word scapegoat comes from the Bible, the Tyndale translation of the Bible in English. In most European languages, they say emissary goat, emissary victim, victim who is sent out of the community or who is killed. You see, but that's when everybody agrees that there must be one who is more of a culprit than the others. Therefore, they unite against that one.
And this mechanism is what underlies these myths that Fraser cataloged all around the world, not just Western, not just Greek and Roman myths, although that, of course, is where he
and that's what he doesn't see, because he excludes the West. The West is too high, too intelligent, too superior to the rest of humanity to be part. Fraser discovers only archaic or primitive society scapegoats,
and so
African scapegoats.
It is your belief that the pattern that underlies myths around the world of the dying and resurrected king reflects actual events in prehistoric society. And we're talking about, we have to establish the scope of time we're discussing here. You're actually talking about early Homo sapiens, 500,000 years. So this goes on for hundreds of thousands of years
I'm not
and becomes ritualized in myth.
In finding out the exact time, it's not my business. I'm a pure theoretician. You see, but I say at some point, people must have been reconciled in order to create communities, permanent communities, against not a leader directly, but a scapegoat. That they all killed together. and it united them. That's why if you look at myth, they all have the same shape. It's always a story of a man who is killed by an entire community.
Oedipus, mythical king of Thebes. The plague comes to Thebes. Yeah. Oedipus discovers that years before, unwittingly, he had killed his father and mother. He's horrified. He blinds himself. It's a community
that discovers that.
All right, that's what I want. So we know the Oedipus myth. Explain how that...
And Oedipus is killed. Therefore, the community gathers around Oedipus, because Oedipus has solved the problem in a way of the disunity of the community by dying. After the death of Oedipus, people find that they have no more enemy, and they have a moment where they say, this man divided us, but in order to reconcile us. Therefore, he's a god. Therefore, he is the one who is moving us towards some kind of new form of unity. Not against him, but we should be afraid of him, but he's fundamentally good. He's a god.